What up, what up, what up, what up? You know it is SP the Ghost.
It's your boy Shiglo Cello XD Block, Silverback Gorilla up in here.
It's a kid Yuck Mouth, man.
Check out my homie Prince.
My homie, Prince James.
Crown TV.
Crown TV.
Crown TV Courts, you heard?
Where they break down cases, man.
We use like high-profile court cases to teach the young ones.
To show y'all how these RICO and gang laws work, you dig?
To show these youngins like, yo, man, that everybody, like, this was really gonna happen if you get into this, man. This how the court's gonna treat you.
No gossip, no speculation, no weirdo shit, man.
Ghost told you so. LOXD Block. Shout out to the homie Prince.
Tap in, man. Crown TV Courts. Yada da, boy.
Yeah, what's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to Crown TV Course, brought to you by Crown TV, of course. I go by the name of Crown Prince. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Thank everybody out there for the overwhelming and tremendous amount of support y'all have shown this channel. I want to give a special shout out to Julian Joseph for the Cash App. We don't get a lot of those over here, so when we get one, I want to make sure, one, that you know I got it, and two, that you know I appreciate it. So today we are going to talk about something that a lot of people ask about and really nobody has talked about in a substantive way, and that is Shotti's appeal, the grounds for appeal that he plans on using, his chances, what it's all about, etc., etc. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's a detailed video, so we're going to change the scenery a little bit and get right into it. All right, so for those of y'all that don't know, Shotti was convicted and sentenced under something called Title 18 924C. And basically what this does is it heightens the penalties for these federal crimes of violence and drug trafficking where a firearm is involved. So you have the crime, you involve a gun, they hit you with this 924C, and then all of a sudden, all of these mandatory minimums apply. And we're going to break that down further in a minute, but I just want to go through some of these mandatory minimums with y'all, especially the ones that apply to Shotti. So the first one says imprisonment for not less than 5 years unless one of the higher mandatory minimums below apply. The second one says imprisonment for not less than 7 years if a firearm is brandished or pulled out. The third one says imprisonment for not less than 10 years if a firearm is discharged. The next one says imprisonment for not less than 10 years if a firearm is a short-barreled rifle or shotgun or semi-automatic weapon. Now, it goes higher than that, but these are the ones, the first three, that apply to Shotti. So let's go to the next slide. All right, so this is from Shotti's plea hearing. This is Shotti actually in court taking his plea, and this is the judge talking to Shotti and making sure that the language is right, and that's going to be important later. It says, do you understand that you are charged in count 1 with possessing a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence, namely the assault with a dangerous weapon in aid of racketeering, charged in count 3 of the indictment in this case. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, we're talking about the April 3rd robbery that happened in the building where This Is 50 was being filmed. It goes on to say, and relating to that, also aiding and abetting the same. Do you understand that that's what you're charged with in count 1? In other words, possessing a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence. Pay attention to the language. It goes on to say, do you understand in count 2, you're charged with possessing a firearm which was brandished and discharged, and aiding and abetting the same in furtherance of, and also carrying that firearm during and in relation to a crime of violence for which you may be prosecuted in federal court, namely an attempted murder in aid of racketeering. He says, do you understand that? Now, this deals with the thing that happened on Fulton Street where the innocent bystander was shot. So you have two incidents. You have the robbery where Shotti did not brandish a firearm, and then you have this one where he brandished one and used it. Now it says, do you understand that each count also carries a mandatory minimum penalty? Now we are talking about that 924C. It says it's 5 years for count 1 and 10 years for count 2. So 5 years for the one where he did not brandish, and then 10 for the one where he brandished and used. Shotti says, yes, I do. The court says, do you understand that the mandatory minimum penalty on count 2 must be served consecutively to whatever sentence I impose on count 1? This means that they have to be one after another, and that's why Shotti got 15 years. It says, all right, now he asks the prosecutor, would you please one by one state the elements of those two offenses? Now we got to pay attention to the language so everybody will understand it in the end. It says, yes, Your Honor, the elements of count 1 are first, that the defendant knowingly used, carried, or possessed a firearm. Second, that the use and carrying of that firearm was during, in relation to, or that the possession of the firearm was in furtherance of the defendant's crime of violence, which was in this case assault with a dangerous weapon in aid of racketeering. That took place in Manhattan on April 3rd. We're talking about the April 3rd robbery. The elements of count 2, first, that the defendant knowingly used, carried, or possessed a firearm. Second, that the use or carrying of that firearm was during and in relation to, or that the possession of the firearm was in furtherance of the defendant's crime of violence, which in this case was an attempted murder in aid of racketeering. And third, that the firearm was brandished and discharged. So that is how Shotti falls under this 924C. Now, going back to that first slide, if you can see, this is the judge going by the letter of the law, basically saying because you had a firearm, this is the mandatory minimum that applies to you, and he gave them both to Shotti. So this is going to be the grounds for Shotti's appeal. Now, I want to go back to the first setting, and then we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Now, Shotti's lawyer put in what is called an Anders brief, and without boring y'all, this is basically Shotti's lawyer asking to be removed from the case. This is Likman. So he's saying that basically he sees no non-frivolous way to challenge this judge's ruling or the sentencing. So he's looked at the deal, he's looked at Shotti's acceptance of the deal, and also Shotti's sentence that he was given, and according to him, everything is on the up and up. He does not want to represent Shotti for an appeal. Now, this should not alarm anybody, because for everybody who goes up for an appeal, you are going to see this happen. We just saw it happen a couple days ago with Roe. And I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that Shotti wants an appellate lawyer to take care of his appeal as opposed to Likman. So this is kind of formality. It's probably something him and his lawyer talked about and his lawyer put into motion. Now, with the stepping down or the firing of this lawyer, however you want to look at it, this allows Shotti to be able to communicate with the court directly or pro se, and he did that. He wrote a letter to this judge, Judge Engelmeyer, and in that letter, he asked for this appellate attorney to be assigned. What he also did in that letter was state what he believed his grounds for an appeal is, and that is a decision that was made last year in a Supreme Court case titled United States v. Davis. So I want to talk about that just a little bit and in a way that is not confusing. I always try to keep this very simple for everybody out there. While these oral arguments were being heard in United States v. Davis, they talked about a lot of things. One of the main things was whether or not just the presence of a gun or brandishing it or what have you necessarily makes something a violent crime. Also, the language that is written in the law and how it is used and how these mandatory minimums are given out. In the final ruling in United States v. Davis, basically what the Supreme Court said is that a lot of the language that is used in this 924C is too vague and unconstitutional. And this lends credibility to the idea that people should not be getting convicted and sentenced the way Shotti was under this 924C. That is, you have a weapon on you or you brandish a weapon. It's a violent crime, black and white. This mandatory minimum applies to you. Take this and go. What they are saying is that this needs to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. A judge needs to look at this, decide whether or not he is dealing with a violent crime based on the conduct, based on the nature of the crime, based on the danger that is presented at the time that the crime is being committed. Now, is an appeal a long shot, a shot in the dark? of course. But I think that Shotti has some ground to stand on. I think this is something that the appellate court is going to see. But I want to know what y'all think about it. So based on everything that you've heard in this video, I want to know what y'all think about Shotti's chances, not at winning an appeal, but just at having his appeal looked at. Let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, y'all. It's the Crown Prince. Peace. I need y'all to make sure y'all check out crowntvnews.com for stories and updates that you may not necessarily find on the channel. Also, if there are stories that you want to see on Crown TV Courts that we are not covering, make sure y'all hit me up on Instagram at Crown TV Official, or you can email me at info@crowntvnews.com. Thank you.
You look out your window and see people enjoying a beautiful day, but you can't because you need to wait for hours at the tax office to do your taxes. Those days are over. Let Who's Your Tax Man help you. We do tax preparation, individual and business. And best of all, you don't have to leave home. With our virtual tax prep service, submit your documents to our secure and encrypted portal. We use the same level of security your bank uses for online banking. We are licensed and bonded, and you'll get the maximum refund guaranteed. Call us at 1-800-951-9591, 1-800-951-9591, or visit us at who'syourtaxman.com.